What is poverty? Let's talk about poverty, the causes and how it can be measured, maybe how it can be prevented. Poverty is a state where individual, household, or communities lack the financial resources and are essential for a certain standard of living, including access to basic needs like food, shelter, and healthcare. It's a multidimensional issue encompassing not just income but also access to education, healthcare, and other opportunities. So, we have key aspect which is lack of resources. This includes insufficient income to meet basic needs like food, clothing, and housing. There is limited access to services. Poverty often restricts access to essential services like healthcare, education, clean water, and sanitation. We have social exclusion. Poverty can lead to social isolation, discrimination, and lack of participation in society. Then there is vulnerability. Individuals and communities experiencing poverty are often more vulnerable to economic shocks, natural disaster, and other crises. Income-based measures. The most common method to define poverty based on specific income threshold is maybe having a amount of $2 per day threshold used by the World Bank. So let's look at more about poverty, and I'm going to explain each as we go more. As you've already known what the definition of poverty is, there is this called cyclical poverty. Cyclical poverty refers to poverty that may be widespread throughout the population, but the occurrence itself is of limited duration. In a non-industrial society, this sort of inability to provide for one's basic needs rests mainly upon temporary food shortage caused by natural phenomenon or poor agriculture planning. Prices will rise because of scarcity of food, which brought widespread temporary misery. So, in industrialized societies, the chief cyclical cause of poverty is fluctuations in the business cycle, with mass unemployed during period of depression or serious recession. Throughout the 19th and early 20th centuries, the industrialized nation of the world experienced business panics and recessions that temporarily enlarged the numbers of the poor. So in the United States, the experience in Great Depression of 1930s, though unique in some of its features, exemplified this kind of poverty. We have collective poverty. In contrast to cyclical poverty, which is temporary, widespread, or collective poverty involves relative, permanent, insufficient means of secure basic needs, a condition that may be so general as to describe the average level of life in a society, or that may be concentrated in a relatively large group in an otherwise prosperous society. Both generalized and centralized collective poverty may be transmitted from generations to generation, parents passing their poverty on to their children. Then there is concentrated collective poverty in many industrialization related to affluent countries, particularly demographic and group, are vulnerable to long-term poverty. Inner city ghettos in regions bypassed and abandoned by industry, and in areas where agriculture and industry is inefficient and cannot compete profitably. Yeah, they are found victims of concentrated collective poverty. These people, like those afflicted with generalized poverty, have high mortality rates, poor health, low education level, and so forth when compared with more affluent segment of society. Their chief economic traits are unemployment and underemployment and skilled occupation and job instability. Efforts at amelioration focus on a way to bring to deprived group into the mainstream of economic life by attracting new industry, promoting small businesses, introducing improved agricultural methods, and raising the level of skills of employable members of the society. Then there's case poverty, similar to collective poverty, in a related permanence, but different from it in terms of distribution. Case poverty refers to the ability of any an individual or a family to secure basic needs even in social surroundings of a general prosperity. This inability is generally related to the lack of some basic attribute that will permit the individual to maintain himself or herself. Such persons may, for example, be blind, physically or emotionally disabled, or chronically ill. Physical and mental handicaps are usually discarded sympathetically as being beyond control of people who suffer from them. So, social mobility includes movement of individual, families, or groups through a system of social hierarchy or stratification. If such mobility involves a change in position, especially in occupation, but no change in social class, it's called horizontal mobility. So, talking about poverty itself, so we are going to see what are the causes of poverty. Poverty is a difficult cycle to break and can pass from one generation to the next. It's often determined by socioeconomic status, ethnicity, gender, and geography. Many people are born into poverty and have little hope of overcoming it. Others may fall into poverty because of negative economic conditions. So, natural disaster or surging living costs, as well as drugs addiction, depression, and mental health issues. So, other root causes of poverty is limited to no job growth, poor infrastructure, conflicts and war, high cost of living, social barriers, lack of government support. So, how can poverty be reduced? Through installing wells that provide access to clean drinking water, educating farmers on how to produce more foods, constructing shelters for those in need, building schools to educate disadvantaged communities, providing enhanced access to better health services by building medical clinics and hospitals. Okay, so I think that is what I can do about poverty. I can talk about my situation. I come from a society where poverty is high, people don't have jobs, even through productive agricultural productivity is very low, and that kind of lifestyle is very devastating when you know that that is not the kind of life you want to live, and it takes a strong heart to stand for themselves, knowing that you'll have to break that generational life cycle to change the lifestyle of your home and your life. You should also pray. I urge people to pray to break the generational cycles and bondages that are actually abandoning them to poverty kind of lifestyle, and also hard work. You have, when you are hardworking, there's no way you're going to be poor. Go out there, do whatever you have to do to live a life that is good beyond what your parents lived. Be different. Don't live as other people are living. Do anything, speak to anyone, anyhow, so that you can be able to actually solve the situation in your homestead. Whether go to school, get a job, you can start something. Okay, maybe do online content that will create job opportunity for you, or seek jobs from other people who are connected to high ranks. Although there is discrimination and tribalism from everywhere, but I am looking forward to be greater, not to live a life that my parents lived, because I am ready to face the world and not just face it, but I am ready. Thank you so much for listening to me about this topic about poverty. If you know that poverty is what is deriving in your homestead, make sure you strive each and every single day through prayers, through hard work. Prayers work when you move. And Everything is about actions. You have to show actions in whatever you do in order to save your family.